And now, join us for live streaming from Tel Aviv Yafo.
Welcome and thank you for joining us for this last session of Israel Drama 2021. In the next hour and so, we would like to introduce you to some of the Israeli plays which are currently being performed on different stages around the world. To do so, we'll host here some of the most successful Israeli playwrights and some guests from abroad who were involved in producing these wonderful plays in their own countries. Most of the productions that we are about to see and discuss, you can just Google and buy a ticket online to see them these days. Welcome to you, Shimrit Ron.
Hello.
My co-host, director
Hi.
of the Institute.
The Hanoch Levin Institute of Israeli Drama.
That's
it's
right.
very nice to meet you all, and it's very exciting. We are used to hosting every year about 50 or 60 artistic directors of theaters from all over the world. And today it's the second year we are doing it online. And it's very exciting to meet all the producers and creators of Israeli playwrights abroad, from Hong Kong to Finland and Germany and France, and also and Israel, of course. Yeah. So we will start with...
How exhausted are you on the very last day of this Israel Drama?
I'm not feeling it yet, so it's okay.
Because the schedule was very tight, and
yes.
we apologize for exhausting you. Okay, I think we'll start. We have with us via Zoom Joshua Sobol, who is probably the most, I think, the excellent exporter of Israeli dramaturgy around the world. His play, his famous Ghetto, has long become an Israeli classic, enjoying over 80 productions. Joshua, correct me if I'm wrong, over 80 productions up to this day. And we are very honored to have you with us today. First of all, let's start. I understood that you just got back from Germany, where a new production of yours has started. You directed it yourself?
Yes, it's a play called Miller gegen Miller. Mm-hmm. I call it Lost Child, des Kaputter-Kind. Mm-hmm. And it opened at the Kleist Forum in Frankfurt Oder. Mm-hmm. And it's a play about relationship, a very painful and heartful relationship between a mother and a son. Mm-hmm. It is inspired by stories of the second generation, among others, by the very painful relationship between Alice Miller and her son Martin Miller. Alice was famous, became very world famous with her book, the drama of the
Gifted Child.
Das Drama des Begabtes Kind, of the Gifted Child, exactly. And after her death, her son Martin wrote a book called Die Wahrheit über das Drama des Begabtes Kind. So the truth about the drama of the Gifted Child. And well, it exposes or it probes into and delves into the relationships, I would say, of second generation, talking about survivors of the Holocaust, who suffer of the post-traumas of their parents, parents who could survive only by repudiating, by refuting, by deleting part of their past and not sharing it, not being able to share it with their children. And then later on, it becomes a kind of overheated trauma, I would say, with the second generation who don't understand why they are victims of their parents, and they are finally victims of their victimized parents, so to speak. And this play opened in Frankfurt Oder. We had 2 performances there. I directed it there with Mathieu Carrière and Nele Heise in the part of the son and the mother. And it got a very, very, very strong reaction there at the audience. We had a standing ovation, and people were really crying throughout the show.
Bravo.
It somehow touched the problem, I would say, of many Germans who are also second generation, this time of what is called the victimizers or the Täters, as they call it in German. And so the play is going to, I mean, the show is going to be performed in Halle, at the Stadttheater in Halle, in January, February, March. And then we shall see about what will happen afterwards. We don't know yet.
So once again, Joshua Sobol, in a way, goes back to the scene of the crime of the Holocaust of World War II and its consequences.
Of course, yes. I think that we cannot. Once you start, you touch that subject, or so you get involved with it, and it persecutes you for the rest of your life. You can't get rid of it. You can't anymore dismiss it. And I don't want to dismiss it also. I feel that it's necessary to share it with Europeans of the different nations, not only with Germans, and to share it with youngsters of our generation, of our time. I mean, because I think that the curse of nationalism, kind of fascism, neo-fascism, are on the horizon, and it's very important to understand what made it possible for a very cultured, civilized nation, or civilized nations, as a matter of fact, to become agents of a genocide, perpetrators of a genocide. Yes, so this is why I think one of the reasons why I'm so involved in with that subject.
So for those few who haven't heard or seen Ghetto, the most successful Israeli play ever, can you please just tell us, just brief us a bit, and then we'll see a short clip from the production you directed yourself in China. I think it was 2 years ago?
That's right, yes.
Okay.
Well, the story is about a theater that was functioning in the ghetto of Vilna, as Jews called it, during the years of the Holocaust. It was founded in by the end of 41 and beginning of 42. And this theater functioned until July 43, August 43, when the ghetto was liquidated. Until the very end of the existence of the ghetto, this theater functioned. And there were creative artists who wrote songs, who composed music, who wrote satirical sketches, and that were performed on the stage of this theater. So the play Ghetto kind of brings back to the stage this experience, this special experience of a theater that functioned in unbelievable conditions, under unbelievable conditions, and was so important for its community. When I made my research, I found out that survivors of the Vilna Ghetto, who still were alive in 1980 when I made my research, some 30 years ago, they told me that every evening the theater was overbooked. And when I checked, I found out a report about the ticket sales of the theater, which one can find at the Ivo Institute in New York. I found out that they were overbooked throughout the all existence of the theater. Oh. They had 300 seating places, and they sold an average of 330 or so tickets every evening, which means people bought, I don't know, standing tickets or sitting on the stairs or so. So it meant a lot to the population of the ghetto. Amazing. And the play deals with it and brings. I was invited to direct a performance of the play in Beijing, the magnificent culture theater in Beijing. In 2018, we opened it at the end of 18, shortly before the Corona broke out. Mm-hmm. And the theater managed to travel with the show to 24 different cities throughout China. Okay. Yeah, so there were more than 50 performances of the play during that period, short period between the opening and the outbreak of the corona pandemic.
Okay, so let's see a short clip, and just to keep our word, I'll say that Ghetto is now being performed in Germany, in Lübeck, right?
Lübeck,
In
yes,
Lübeck. So there are current productions of Ghetto. Actually, at any given time, you can find at least one production of Ghetto somewhere in the world. Let's see this short clip from the Chinese production, please.
我从这个离去，孤单的经过，不会有人关心着我。爱情已掉落，该如何生活？谁能告诉我怎么做？我知道是春天的鸟儿在歌唱放舞，多自由与快乐。我困在这里面，像一个乞丐，祈祷阳光给我温暖。春天，哦，美丽的春天，它已经走远，阳光也暗淡。春天映照着我的忧伤，今天和明天依然没有改变。我们曾经的家园早结成蜂胶，回头之间断壁再远。阳光太强烈，花朵已枯萎，凋谢在这冰冷寒冬。每次我经过清晨和夜晚，不忍心再多看一眼。你在这里爱我，在这里吻我，在这里紧紧拥抱我。春天，哦，美丽的春天，它已经走远，阳光也暗淡。春天映照着我的忧伤，今天和明天依然没有改变。上帝的力量，季节又善良，季节地送来了春光，鲜花又盛开，鸟儿又歌唱，当我泪水没法阻挡。他们说个离去闪耀着金光，但泪水让我眼盲。你看我的爱世界如沧海，我想你也无法遗忘。春天，哦，美丽的春天，它已经走远，阳光也暗淡。春天映照着我的忧伤，今天和明天依然没有改变。春天映照着我的忧伤，今天和明天依然没有改变。
Wow. Tell me, who is the singer, Yoshua? I know that she has a story her own.
Yeah, I
herself.
think her name is Anaïs Martin. She's of Jewish Moroccan descent, so to speak, and born in France. When she was, I think, 18 years old, she moved to China. She was interested in doing a film about the Jews in Shanghai. There was, during the Second World War, a Jewish ghetto in Shanghai of refugees who came over from Europe all the way through Russia and Japan, and they landed in Shanghai, and the Chinese treated them very well in Shanghai. I mean, the population received them warmly, so to speak. There was a ghetto there, a kind of ghetto, and Anais came there to China to do a film, a documentary about the Jewish ghetto in Shanghai. She stayed there. She fell in love with the Chinese actor and married him. And now she has been living already for more than 20 years in China.
What a
I
beautiful
had
production.
Pardon?
What a great singer and a wonderful production.
Oh, thank you so much. Yeah, I think they were all very, very devoted, the actors. It was such a, well, it was a pleasure to work with them. And so I hope they want now to produce the whole trilogy of Ghetto, I mean the 3 parts in one evening. And so I arranged a kind of integration of the 3 plays into one play. We shall see. Maybe they will open it, I don't know, during the next year in Beijing.
Fingers crossed.
One last question, Yoshua. You write in Hebrew, but sometimes your plays are produced first in Europe and all over the world, and after that in Israel, like the play about Alma Mahler and this current production. So you write so much, and they produce your plays sometimes all over the world before they come to Israel, and sometimes in Israel first. So what do you say about that?
Well, the theater community worldwide today, I think, is one theater community fighting for its survival in a very, very unfavorable time for theater. That's how I feel it and experience it. And so I think that people of the theater throughout the world should join hands and do whatever we can to keep this art living. Even my play now that opened in Frankfurt Oder, it was a world premiere. It was not yet performed in Israel, though I wrote the play like 6 years ago. Originally, I offered it to some theaters in Israel, and they were.
You always write. You always write in Hebrew, right? And then
I write in Hebrew,
and
yes,
then it's being
I
translated.
I write in Hebrew originally. I sometimes do my own English version of the play to offer it to other theaters the dramaturgs of each country read Hebrew. But of course, I'm writing in Hebrew. It's my mother language.
And tell me, being so much involved, you are very much identified for your social and political enthusiasm. In a world that gets more and more hostile and more xenophobic, what do you think Israeli drama? What's the secret? What have we got, if we have got something special to offer in this regard?
Well, I never made a secret of my opinion, and I think that Israel must get rid of the occupation and must give total independence. To the Palestinians, and I think that Israeli theater, Israeli cinema, recently tries to come to grips with those questions of how the abnormal situation of dominating or domineering another people, what does it do to us? How does it damage our society? How does it affect our personal life as Israelis? And so I think this is what the Israeli theater has to offer. Most of all, dealing openly with the painful questions of our existence here in this part of the world, in this corner of the world, or end of the world, so to speak. And I think that the Israeli theater had, in the last 20 or 30 years, could offer some samples of those attempts to come to grips with a painful situation where we are no longer the victims, that we are the perpetrators. And it is doubly so painful because we are sons and grandsons of victims. And so, this kind of situation is something that is very dramatical. And I think that the Israeli theater, at its best, dealt with it. That's what I have to say about it.
And one last question. I heard that once you produced or directed the play in places like China, you go back as a writer and you change some basic things within the original text. I wonder about this, cultural exchange. How does a foreign production actually affect your writing? Someone told me that you changed, for instance, the prologue of Ghetto, having directed it in China.
Yes, that's true. Well, during the rehearsals in China, the general manager of the theater, he came to attend rehearsal. He came a few times, and always after the rehearsals we had dialogue, an open dialogue. And he told me, he said, the play opens with the ex-artistic director of the theater telling us that he was sitting in the office of the leader of the ghetto, reading plays for the concourse that the Judenrat has launched, write a play about life in the ghetto. And he said to me, for most of the Chinese people, this will mean that it's not only a normal life, but it's a very, very pleasant life. An artistic director of a theater sitting in the office of the leader of the ghetto and reading plays. Well, what's wrong about it? And he said it will mislead the audience in the beginning of the show to believe that really it's a very, very normal situation. So what can you do? I said, what can I do? And I remembered all of a sudden that when I made my research, a woman, a survivor of the Vilna ghetto, told me her experience of the first day of getting into the ghetto, which was a terribly traumatic experience where she lost her father. He was shot in front of her eyes, running in the streets of Vilna, being driven into the ghetto, and lost contact with her daughter, running under the rain and so on, until she found refuge by jumping into the canalization, and found herself surviving for a while in the canalization in the underground of the... I told him that story spontaneously, and the translator was translating it to him simultaneously while she was tapping it on her iPhone. And when I ended it, he stood up and the director, Kieran, he embraced me and he said, "I love you." I said, okay. Well, I came the next day in the morning to the theater for a rehearsal, and the actress, Fan, she comes to me and she says, "Shall we use the new opening?" I said, "What do you mean?" She said, "I learned by heart what you told yesterday." I said, "Okay, let us see." And I told the actress, I said, "We are trying something new for the opening," and it was kind of a run-through. And I told her, "Come from the depths of the stage and tell the story as you approach us shortly." I mean, slowly. And she did it. She knew it by heart. I found out that during the night, the translator typed it out in Chinese, gave it to her. She learned it by heart, the actress. And when she finished her monologue, the actors were all in tears. They were crying. So I said, probably he was right, Kieran. And we left it as the opening of the play. And now I am using it as...
From now on, you use this opening?
Yes. Oh. Yes, I found out that it was
more,
I would say, that it brings the audience immediately into the situation of what it meant at the time to go from normal life into the life of prisoners of a ghetto. And so this was a very interesting experience for me.
The evolvement of a play is something really fascinating. Joshua Sobol, thank you very, very much. Once again, Ghetto is now being performed in Lübeck, Germany, and you can Google it and go online and buy a ticket. Thank you. Thanks a million, and all the very best.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. It's been an honor having you with us. Thank you.
A lot.
Let's move now to Hanoch Levin. The Institute of Israeli Drama is named after the late Hanoch Levin, who is considered by many to be maybe the most influential Israeli playwright. Dying at 56, he left us with...
At 99.
Yeah, but at the age of 56, I meant. He left us with almost 70 plays. Many of them enjoyed great international acclaim and rave reviews all over the world. And we'll see just a short trailer about his work and theater. Let's see it.
כל המקומות, המחשבות, הרגשות האפלים, המוצנעים, המגוחכים, הקטנוניים אצל בני אדם, שאנשים מעזים לחלוק רק בינם לבין עצמם, ולפעמים גם את זה לא. חנוך לוין מאיר אליהם בפנס חד וחריף ונוקב, מלא הומור, מלא סאטירה, מלא סרקזם ומלא חמלה אנושית.
מה לי ולבשר הזה המצפצף עכשיו מתוך שינה שלווה רואה בחלום נופים רחוקים שאני לא כלול בהם? מי עשה שבעודי ילד קטן נשרח ברחוב אחרי אבי כבר באיזה צומת בעתיד תחכה לי אישה זרה שאין לי כלום איתה ולה אין כלום איתי ואיזה דבק לא נראה אבל חזק משנינו ידביק אותנו זה לזה לנצח.
אני בת 6. אני יכולה קצת לי בחוץ, אבל זה רק הטיח. ותפסיקו ללדת כל כך הרבה ילדות חדשות. הן גדלות ומקבלות שדיים. הן לוקחות את השדיים שלי ואת האור שלי ומשתמשות בהם בלי לשלם לי. חיים את החיים והכל בסדר, ואז מתים באמצע המרק.
קשה להסביר את עוצמת התגובה של הקהל. הם הרימו את תקרת הבטון של צוותא.
חנוך לוין הפך למחזאי קלאסי. אתה לוקח מחזה שנכתב לפני 30 שנה, ואתה לא רק מגלה שהוא יכול להיות רלוונטי, הוא יותר רלוונטי היום ממה שהוא היה פעם.
You had this feeling that you see something that you've never seen before. A whole new language, a new form, a new existential point of view, a new political point of view. His themes are so universal, you just couldn't resist it.
He has this sense of humor with the world's realities. And he has this talent to reconciliate theater with the audience. He's very close to regular people.
בעולם שלנו צוחק זה שעוד לא בוכה.
Hanoch Levin, presenting the family as a constant battlefield, and enjoyed, as I said, acclaimed productions all over the world. And we were very honored this morning to screen the wonderful production of one of his plays, Winter Funeral, which was done by the Hong Kong Repertory Theatre. And we are very lucky to have with us the assistant artistic director of this theatre, Mrs. Fung Wai Hang, with us via Zoom from Hong Kong. Hi, Fung.
Hi.
Hi.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for being with us. What's the time now in Hong Kong?
It's almost 11.
11. Good
11
hour.
p.m.
11 night time. Yes.
Okay. So we want
And it's my honor to be one of the panelists. Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, and thank you for your wonderful production. We just had the chance to watch it this morning, and it's really a remarkable production, what you did with Winter Funeral. Tell us a bit, how did you come across Hanoch Levin in Hong Kong? How did you hear about him? Or how did it all
actually, in Hong Kong, there's a smaller theater who staged Requiem a few years ago. And I saw it, and also our literary manager saw it, and we find it very interesting. And we love the theme. It's using some contradicting characters and some very dark elements, and it's so imaginative. So we we tried to understand more about Mr. Levin. So we read some of his plays, and we find a Winter Funeral. And so we translate it, and I invite a director from Macau to come and direct it. However, because of COVID, and also his wife has suddenly got very sick, so he couldn't come to direct. So we decided to let me to be the director and co-direct with him. And so he directed with me via Zoom. And so we staged the play together. Yes, but practically I work with the actors. Yes.
So you rehearsed and he was with you via Zoom during rehearsals?
Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So he's next to the Zoom camera for like 4 to 6 hours, and then when he saw something wrong, then he would tell me to adjust, and we discuss, and then we adjusted the details.
Amazing. And you were lucky enough to perform the whole run, you told me. You managed to perform it some 15 or 20 times. And how was it received?
15 performances.
How was it received in Hong Kong?
I think it's quite well, actually. Well, as you know, Hong Kong Repertory Theatre is a traditional theatre, so we mainly use speaking and not usually use add a lot of physical elements. But this time I work closely with the choreographer, so she and I try to use a lot of physical work. So the actors works really hard, and I think it's quite a good result. I don't know. You tell me what's your. It's better for you to tell me.
First of all, I found it amazing, but for those who haven't had the chance to see it this morning, maybe we'll just screen your short trailer of the production for people to get a clue what it's all about. Let's just see the trailer.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
如果我聽日出殯，佢哋會嚟嘛？咁即係話，我哋想要做乜嘢啊？
我哋要瞓覺咯。
我哋仲想要做乜嘢啊？
聽日我哋要嫁女咯。晒衣表姨，拉叔表姨丈。
表姐，有怪莫怪你安息啊！
防止腦退化，等你可以諗清楚去邊度揾到你個婚衣。係晒衣啊！
我講過嘢，我呼吸過，我煮過飯，我生存過。為咗呢一刻，我哋準備咗好多年啊！跟住我哋為啲乜嘢啊？
Beautiful, beautiful. Fung,
yes, I would like just to note, because Winter Funeral is a comedy about a family which runs away from one of the relatives who wants to tell them about the death of his grandmother and invite them to the funeral, and they are all afraid to cancel the wedding and the celebration and all the chicken that was ordered. So they run away to the beach, and after that to the Himalayas. It's very surrealistic and very universal. It can be done in everywhere. And you were the first theater that during the COVID in March last year wanted to shoot it like a cinema production, not as a theatrical production. And you had a vision that it will be filmed all over the world and in Hong Kong. And I was a bit surprised. I said, why are you shooting the performance as a film? But I know that now you were right, because you also screened it in China in June. So you actually caught the spirit of the time.
Okay. So because actually we have engagement with a festival in Guangzhou, and so they invited us to go there to show to perform a production. However, COVID is really a disruption for us, so we cannot go. And so they asked us to film a production, so they can show it to the Guangdong audience, because we usually every year we will go to China, like Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou. So we have a tour around China every year. But because of COVID, we couldn't go. And so that's why they asked us to film it and then to show it to the audience, because they miss us a lot. So that's why we try to film this production. And it's so fortunate that we filmed it. So that's why Israel audience can take a look at it. And,
could watch it this morning.
It's a coincidence that we make a cultural exchange.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I would like to say about my feelings about the play.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's a great play, of course, because it's such a universal topic and theme. And there are a lot of characters that can even we Chinese can relate. For example, the professor is like representing intellectuals. The monk representing someone who pursues spiritual thing. And ordinary people, they stick to their tradition. They are so stubborn. But no matter what you pursue in your life, if you don't pursue something out of love or without love, and the outcome when the angel comes to you, the death God of death comes to you, then probably your life works for nothing. It's all in vain. I think it's pretty much what's happening in this few years in Hong Kong, because we have to fight for the COVID and also a lot of things going on. So it's really, really a timely play for us to stage. However, it's Israel play. We don't know if we catch it right.
Yes.
So please give us some more suggestion and comments.
I think it was wonderful, wonderful, and I think what you say is the most important thing for each production to has its own connection to what Hanoch Levin offers, and I think you did great. By the way, you mentioned that the leading actress who was supposed to play the dying mother.
The mother, yes.
Yeah.
So it's a sad thing to say. On the technical day, the first technical day, so it's like 3 days before opening. She suddenly come to stage and tell me she got cancer. She plays the mother, the dying mother.
The dying mother.
She only has one scene. So she told me she has cancer, and I said, "Oh, okay, you better run and go and take care of yourself." So I find the young actors to play the old mother to substitute her. It was March this year, and she passed away last month.
It's very sad.
Very sad, really.
Yes. But it's very ironic to a certain extent.
Yeah.
Because this is her last show, last production, because she's going to retire, and it really matched the theme. She works her whole life, like 40 years as an actress. And just like she's ready to get retired, but
what a story!
You cannot fight your fate.
Yeah. Tell me, you mentioned before that there was a production of Requiem prior to your own one. Were there any other Israeli playwrights being produced in Hong Kong before or besides Hanoch Levin? Never.
This is the first time we, really get in touch with Israel Play.
So you opened the
door.
door.
We really hope to know more because we don't know Hebrew.
It's okay. You can read them in English.
We need English. Yeah, we need more English translation.
That's what the institution is for.
We have a lot. Just tell me and send you. And I would like to say
Yes.
I would like to say.
Please introduce more to us.
Okay, I will. And I hope to see more Israeli drama in Hong Kong. And I would like to say to all our viewers, if you are interested in reading A Winter Funeral, just send me an email, and it has many translations to French, Polish, to Chinese, of course, and to other languages. So just send me an email and have the play to read. And I hope you will do it.
So thank you very, very much, Fung. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And we wish to see you face to face here maybe next year.
We'll invite you next year, and you will come here to Israel.
Thanks a million, and you did great. What a wonderful production.
Everybody
the Hong Kong Repertory Theatre.
Thank you.
Thank you
so
everybody.
Much. Thank you.
And stay with us, and let's see, as I said, Hanoch Levin is being produced all over the world. Let's see two more clips, one of a wonderful production directed by the legendary Krzysztof Velikowski, named We Are Living, the Polish director, and another one from a theater in Halle, Germany, of his play Krum, which is another family or neighborhood play, typical heroes to Hanoch Levin, but a wonderful, a very unique production which located the whole plot on the sea, on the shore, actually, on the beach. Let's see these two short clips, one of the We Are Living, and then another short clip of the making of Krum in Germany, and then we'll go to Maya Arad and Hadar Dalron, who are going to be here.
Theater in Hamburg.
Yeah.
Zostałam porwana przez tureckiego sułtana.
Mamo. Dawaj jeszcze 500. Widzę, że ci się spodobało. Fantazjujesz sobie między moimi nogami. Dawaj kasę.
Synku, zabierają mnie do burdelu w Istambule. Tam na mnie czekają młodzi Turcy. Tyle razy cię ostrzegałam. Żegnaj!
Mamo! Dawaj jeszcze 500.
Kurwa, nie mam tyle.
Masz, dawaj.
Wszyscy skończymy w Istambule.
A ty co?
Twoje świńskie fantazje zrujnowały mi nogi.
Wyjeżdżamy?
Nie. Babcia uciekła w zeszłym tygodniu z zakładu. Znaleziono tylko walizkę.
Aha, a jej nie?
Nie, tylko walizkę.
Aha.
Jest trzecia nad ranem, bandyto.
Mamo!
Z czego się tak cieszysz? Z czego się tak cieszysz?
Miałem sen.
Że umarła,
Na
wiem.
jawie. Nie.
Nosi go w środku nocy. Nawet nie powiem co. Zgnilizna moralna. Zamiast odkładać na mieszkanie. Na mieszkanie. Dani, ja cię tyle razy ostrzegałam. Ostrzegam cię. Na razie jeszcze żyję. Ale przyszłym razem...
Mamo.
Żyła raz sobie.
Mamo.
Henia. Henia, Henia.
Mamusiu.
Żyła raz sobie.
Mamusiu.
Henia, Henia.
Mamusiu, mamusiu, tak dobrze, że jesteś.
Szkoda, że nie umiesz tego docenić. Zasługujesz na matkę, która by poleciała za młodymi Turkami do Istambułu.
Do jakiego Istambułu? Do jakiego Istambułu? Nic nie ukryje się przed tą kobietą. Nawet moje sny. Czarownica!
I think it's a beautiful, slightly melodramatic play with a lots of sadness and a lots of fun and a lots of loneliness and a lots of longing to be somebody which we all doesn't, and that makes the whole piece very beautiful. The story itself is very tiny. One guy coming back from America, want to be a writer, and his mother forced him to be married and be normal and do what everybody does, and then he doesn't do that. But it's really entertaining how he doesn't go mom's way or doesn't follow mother's way.
Na, was soll ich machen? Ein Enkelkind. Ich hatte mich auf eine Heirat eingestellt. Ja, ich mich auch.
I really much connected to him, to Krum as well, as someone who never made it, but in the same time completely rich inside and living, and go against the expectation of society and go against what success means for the majority. And he follows his own way, and he has his own way, which is kind of a dead end, but at least this is his way for approaching life.
Die Sonne! Dugatti, nein! Wir verlieren die Sonne! Halt die Sonne fest, Dugatti! Halt sie fest! Sehe ich die Sonne zum letzten Mal? Die Sonne! Die Sonne!
I felt very much connected to Hanoch Levin since long, and always tried to find the opportunities somewhere to stage it. But as he is not as known in Germany, there was no real chance. But COVID is opened up the chance for this play, because I came unexpectedly to create something. And when we started to talk about plays which fits with the pandemic and tells something about this kind of expanded time and big existential questions, for example, is there a meaning for your life, or any life has a meaning, or just for some, and big questions like that, then we end up with Hanoch Levin and end up with the piece of Krum.
Manche sind ja für Hochzeiten geboren und manche für Beerdigungen. Das ist ein Fakt, das muss man einfach akzeptieren.
It is strange times. So, of course, it's a big philosophical question, what is stage? Stage is a working place, or stage is the freedom of art? As the German state decided that stage is a working place, we have under the same rules like everywhere, which is acceptable. I'm not against it at all, but it affects theatrical form. So I'm also, when I try to find the play, this one has so many isolated characters. So the distance which we have to keep, this 1.5 meters, and then if they're shouting, then it's 3 meters distances. It serves with some plays, and it's really go against for some plays. We find this play almost like how we can talk about pandemic, but not directly. How we can reflect our time, our historical time, but not one by one. And where I came from, Eastern Europe, we never talk about one by one problems, you know? Most of the time it was not allowed to do it because the different dictatorships are hits, and it became kind of the nature of art and artists to use this language. But also I believe it helpful. So this play, it's kind of lighter. This has some entertaining part and fun part even if it's reflecting on our times. And I'm very, very happy that we premiere first time in Germany on a big stage this play.
Ist tot. Ist tot.
Okay, super, 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 super.
Hanoch Levin with Krum and with We Are Living. We are now moving to Maya Arad Yasur. We are very happy to have you here with us.
Thank you, Roy. Hello, Shimrit.
Your play, Amsterdam, won at the Theater Treffen Stuckmarkt in 2018, the prize, or
Yes.
got awarded, and produced, followed by 12 different productions.
About. A little more, maybe.
Even more. And this is the play that put you on the international map, one can say. And what happened ever since? I know that good things, but please brief
Just to
us.
say that before Amsterdam, God Waits at the Station and Suspended also had several productions each, mostly in Germany and Austria. But yes, Amsterdam won the Theater Treffen Stuckmarkt, and that was definitely a motor, I think, for the productions that came later worldwide. Yes, about 12 productions and also staged readings, a few mainly in France and Germany,
And I think you can say it out loud. It became some kind of an international hit. You have some kind of an international hit. It does very well, being translated into English, French, Italian. Let's see just the cover of the different translations. We have them.
It's not the translations, the publications.
Publications.
Three
yes,
publications.
It just came out in Italy, I understand.
That's the Italian publication.
That's the Italian
yes.
one.
This is very
It's about
beautiful.
to come out. And
Beautiful. And we have the
that's
French,
the French one.
The French one and an English version, right?
The English version, yes.
And now it's also in a new anthology of Israeli plays in Russian. There is a new anthology, and it's also there among other Israeli plays. So
Yes.
also add the Russian to the list.
So, you know, Maya, for those who are not familiar with the play, although I find it hard to believe, please brief us a bit. I know that you hate the question, what is it about? Because your plays, you always describe them, it's not what it's about, it's how it is done.
Both. It's important for me to say that it's both. That if you just minimize it to what it's about, then you miss the whole form aspect of it, which is, I think, a part of the content somehow.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for me, very difficult to separate form and content, especially in the case of Amsterdam, but in general with every play. Post-traumatic play, at least, I think the structure is always playing a significant role. But if I have to, then the play is about...
If you're pushed to the wall, yeah.
Yes. Then the play is about an Israeli immigrant that lives in Amsterdam. She's 9 months pregnant, and she is a pretty successful violinist. She's been living there for quite a while, and one day she's receiving a bill on her doorstep, which is an over-exaggerated gas bill, 1,700 euros. That's after she's trying to make an omelette, and for some reason she doesn't have gas. So, you know, these two incidents combined make her get out of her apartment and trying to figure out what is the meaning of this gas bill. And the play accompanies her in a 24 hours of her life in which she's
trying to figure out.
She's not trying to figure out. She just lives her life. She goes from the supermarket to her agent, to a meeting with her agent, to the city hall also to ask what's the meaning of this bill. And from that 24-hour journey, we get a glimpse of her immigrant life, and we start seeing the cracks of her successful, as I said, immigration experience. And we slide into the story of this gas bill that takes us to a really crazy story of the Second World War, of the people that lived in the flat where she lives.
During the war.
During the war, which apparently this gas bill is something that has never been paid since since, actually.
Ever since.
There is
Ever
also
since,
one,
and the question is who used the gas that she has to pay for, because the option that Nazis, for example, pay the gas, use the gas that she will pay, is the central.
There is one significant thing to say about the form. It doesn't have actual characters like somebody speaks and dots and the text. It has multiple voices, and you can do it with 3 actors and with 9 actors. And
Free to endless, I define.
you can decide the amount of the cast. So just tell us about this, about the decision to create like a chorus.
Yes.
So tell us.
Well, the form is naturally influenced by mainly drama, post-drama from the 90s in London, let's say, if I have to say what's my biggest influence. The choice to use that form for this specific play came from, first of all, a long process of searching for form, which is something that I'm always busy when I already have the general storylines. I'm starting to search for possible forms. I always try several. And there's one that feels like, yes, that's how this story wants to be told. Yeah. It's really like not a choice even. That's how it needs to be told. There's, in my experience, at least so far, and every play is really a new experience for me as well. That's my experience. And in this case, it's very much about how the character, that nameless character of the violinist, experiences her own identity in the new environment. And the way she experiences is through the eyes of all the people outside of her. Because she has to reconstruct her identity from a new point, the point of immigration. And she does that through the eyes of outsiders. So of the locals in the new place. And then that's why I needed an endless amount of speakers that describe her. And that's how she sees herself. So it's this identity structure.
And I think this loose structure, in a way, is what appeals to so many directors, because you leave these open spaces, these gaps, for a director and a cast to step in.
A director can really do, as long as they don't touch a comma in my text.
Yeah, of course.
I'm joking. But in this specific play, it is I'm very fanatic about that. But they don't want to touch it because it's very much based on rhythm also, and the rhythm is really like a score is very accurate. But they have so much freedom in directing that it's not even an issue. And you can really, each director took it somewhere else, used a different number of performers and a different setting.
So we are very lucky to have with us 2 of the international directors of your play. But first, let's see a clip of one production which was done in Marburg in Germany. Unfortunately, it is in German. We have no English subtitles for this short trailer, but I think you can get a clue of the production.
It's the most recent production.
The most recent production,
yes,
right?
From now, actually.
From now, okay. In Marburg, Germany. Let's see this clip and then turn to 2 very distinguished guests that we have with us.
In Amsterdam klopft man nicht an die Tür. Sie sagt, dass sie kein Holländisch spricht, damit sie denken, sie sei Touristin. Damit sie denken, sie sei Amerikanerin.
Genau, aber sie war eine Jüdin.
Sei wer du bist. Europa den Europäern. Sei praktisch. 2 Hallen in Bedarben.
Der Widerhall,
Der Widerhall des Umschlags in der Tasche, des Briefs im Umschlag in der Tasche, der Zahl in dem Brief im Umschlag in der Tasche. Ja!
Der Widerhall.
Ja! Des überall ja gut. Ja!
Halt in ihren Absätzen wieder.
Das ist kein Paradox. Das ist Polyphonie.
Beautiful production, very interesting. We are very happy to have with us 2 distinguished directors that are now working on Amsterdam. First, we have Eva Milosevic from Serbia with us via Zoom. Hello, Eva. Are you here? Can you hear me? We have
Hello,
Eva.
everyone. Good evening.
Hi, Eva. I still don't see you, but I hear you, at least. Can we see?
Hi.
Oh, here you
Hello.
are. Hi, Eva. Nice having you with us. Thank you for joining us. And we have the wonderful Laurent Breton from France. Are you here too?
Hello, everyone. First, thanks, Ronnie, because she will translate me. My English is not very good.
Okay.
I understand when you speak, but my language is not very good. Sorry.
But the glasses are terrific.
I like the glasses.
I can kill for your glasses, first of all.
Ils aiment bien les lunettes.
Okay. And so we have Ronnie Efrat, the translator, with us too.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, Ronnie.
evening.
So hello, the three of you. And I understand that you two are directing or are just now rehearsing Maya Radius Uz Amsterdam. Am I right?
Yes, well, in my case, sorry.
Let's start with you, Eva, and then turn to Laurent and
Okay.
Ronnie. Yeah.
Well, here in Belgrade, yes, in Theater Atelier 2012, we started rehearsing. I started directing practically 5 days ago.
Wow.
Started stage
The very
reading
first week.
Yes, so it's all very fresh.
Okay.
We are, me, myself, the dramaturg and the actors are very emotionally involved and excited as we are unfolding the content and the message, possible message of the play. We are approaching the play, the staging of the play in a very experimental rehearsal process-like way, because we realized that maybe that's the right way to unfold the what we aim to send to the audience as a feeling and as a message that has to be very humanistic and has to capture the healthy, beautiful and righteous message about being able to understand one another, because we live in a world where it's so easy to feel like a stranger, even it doesn't matter in which country, what constellation, what it all comes up to. At the end of the day, people are very often feel discriminated and strangers, and in order to be able to understand how one feels with the stereotypes that he's been viewed with the prejudices, with the history prejudices, actually is not the way to really see somebody. That's the stage where we are at right now, and I would just like to say a few words about the future, let's say, style and concept of the play that we will make. We will use some aspects of psychodrama, of role-playing between the actors, some performance art elements, and
how many actors? How many? We heard from Maya that there are endless possibilities of casting it. How many actors you have in your production?
I have 2 actresses and 2 actors. 3 of them are fairly young, around 30, and 1 actress is 40-something. But they are, I have to say, I decided to work with these actors because I know they, as people, they really can understand, as artists, they really relate personally and as artists to
the material
and the mess and the topic.
And you told me yourself when we first spoke that the play spoke to you because of your own personal background as an immigrant in Canada. Yes. When you were a child. Can you please?
Well, yes, I have to say when it comes to this play and when it comes to the fact that it's a story about Israeli Jewish woman living somewhere in Western Europe. When you live in Serbia, and what comes to your mind is, okay, how can I relate to this issue? Being an immigrant and being belonging to the population, don't get me wrong, population that, as I understand today, it's very difficult to represent in art the phenomenon and the tragedy of Holocaust or any genocide, and to find a very fresh way to make the audience feel the empathy and not to get the distance, which takes them to the rational aspect, but to take them to the empathy. Now, we experienced in the 90s here in Serbia the wars and the genocide, and it was all around, all over the region, and talking in theater about those things, it's very delicate. And my actors and I feel that we have the duty to reach the humanistic aspect of each person in the audience, at least to aim that.
Yeah.
At least to aim that, to feel the empathy and to make them feel the empathy and sadness why the world, because the world is not a better place today. There is...
It used to be, yeah. Yeah.
There is fascism and repression and violence all over the planet still.
So you can use the play to show humanistic values for your local audiences, and not just speaking direct. And you don't speak directly about the problems you have in Serbia and the wars. You just make a distance. We are talking about the Holocaust and the one musician from Israel, so you can make it like a distance.
From Amsterdam, to be more
For you, it's the first experience with an Israeli play, right?
Yes.
It's the first time.
Yes, and I feel very responsible because the issue of when you say I'm speaking from the position of a Serbian or whatever, European, and a human being, artist. I feel very responsible to deal on stage with representing in any way the topic, the theme of Holocaust. It's very delicate. So my starting point when I work with actors is I share my experience when I, as a child, was a migrant, and I dig into my emotional past, how I felt when I felt alone, bullied, downsized to stereotypes and prejudices, and we began from that point. Now, after 1 week, my actors are beginning to share their experiences, and that's how we are. I can only talk about this stage of the process. That's how we are unfolding Amsterdam.
When are you about to open with the production?
In January.
In
January.
Okay.
January.
Fingers crossed. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you, Eva.
Lauren, we are with you. For you, it's not the very first time to come across an Israeli play. You've already directed Hanoch Levin, The Labor of Life, and
The Sorrow of Job.
And The Sorrow of Job. And I'm very much curious about your vision of this specific play. At what stage are you now with
C'est pas la
Amsterdam?
première fois que vous mettez en scène une pièce israélienne, et donc on aimerait savoir quelle est votre vision, votre point de vue par rapport à ce sujet, par rapport à cette pièce.
Alors, oui, d'abord, c'est vrai que j'ai un lien très fort avec Israël par le biais d'Anne Levin, puisque J'ai appris dernièrement que j'étais le metteur en scène en France qui avait le plus monté à Nord-les-Vignes, puisque j'ai monté 10 de ses pièces en France.
I have a strict connection with Israel. Actually, I discovered lately that I was one of the theater directors that has directed Hanoch Levine the most multiple times, the most numerous theater plays dans le monde, in the world.
En France.
In France, sorry.
Et en fait, il y a un lien très fort aussi avec Israël parce que j'ai pu présenter 2 de mes créations au Caméry.
There is a strong connection with Israel because I directed 2 different theater plays in the Camry Theater.
In Tel Aviv.
In Tel Aviv.
Et en fait, quand j'ai rencontré l'écriture de Maya, j'ai été bouleversé quand j'ai rencontré son texte, comme j'ai été bouleversé la première fois que j'ai rencontré l'écriture d'Anor.
Actually, the first time I was meeting, I've read for the first time Maya's writing as well as her theater play. I was as shocked positively and honored as I was with Hanoch's plays.
En comparaison, la première fois que j'ai lu Amsterdam, je me suis dit la même chose que la première fois où j'avais lu Les Souffrances de Job. Je me suis dit, comment on monte ce truc-là?
So the first time I was confronted with Amsterdam, I told myself exactly the same thing that I've told myself when I've read Job for the first time. How can one direct and reflect these situations?
Et c'est assez singulier, je voyage beaucoup. Et il faut dire que quelques mois avant de rencontrer la pièce Amsterdam, j'ai été en Hongrie et j'ai le teint mat. Et l'été, je suis très bronzé. Et en Hongrie, dans tous les magasins, les videurs venaient me voir, on me demandait de vérifier mon sac, etc. parce qu'on me prenait pour un tzigane. Et j'ai commencé à vivre le racisme en Hongrie. Et après, j'ai lu Amsterdam.
So this summer, just before reading Amsterdam, I was in Hungary, and actually I was pretty tan because I tend to tan during summertime, and I felt racism in a very simple way because everyone in every shop asked me to show what I have inside my bag and everything. So, and this just afterwards, I read Amsterdam, and that was my racism experience.
Donc je découvre le texte d'Amsterdam, tout de suite je me dis ok, ça me passionne parce que c'est quoi être une femme dans ce monde patriarcal? C'est quoi être une femme étrangère dans un pays qui n'est pas le sien? Et c'est quoi être une femme israélienne dans un monde occidental qui a un regard très particulier sur Israël?
So I see this theater play with three different questions. First of all, what is it to be a woman in this in patriarchy in the world? Second, what is it to be a female immigrant in this world? And then, and the third one, how is it to be a female Israeli immigrant in this Western world that actually sees Israel in a very particular way?
Nice.
Alors, pour moi, très vite, il a été évident qu'il fallait mêler l'histoire et la forme. Si on n'est que sur l'histoire, ça ne marche pas. Si on n'est que sur la forme, ça ne marche pas. C'est les deux qui sont magiques.
So for me, it was pretty obvious and necessary to mix both plot, story, content, and its form, because the content itself does not work and the form itself does not work. It has to be a combination of the two.
Alors je me suis baladé avec le texte de Maya. J'ai été en Allemagne voir la production allemande, j'ai été voir la production anglaise, j'ai été en Israël voir la première, je ne sais pas si c'était une production, c'était une performance israélienne, pour essayer déjà de comprendre comment à l'étranger ils abordaient cette pièce.
So I walked around with this play. I was in Germany to see its interpretation. I was in England to see it, and also there was a sort of performance in Israel out of the text. So I wanted to see how other people interpret this text.
J'ai passé, maintenant ça fait 3 ans de ma vie, que je bosse sur Amsterdam. J'ai eu la chance de rencontrer Maya à Amsterdam et nous avons frayé le chemin, elle et moi, sur le chemin de l'histoire de la pièce. C'était très important pour moi.
So I've been working on Amsterdam for 3 years now. I even met Maya once in Amsterdam itself, the city, and it was pretty important to see her at this place because it meant a lot to me, and I realized a lot of things about the text.
Du coup, je remercie Maya parce que grâce à elle, je voyage beaucoup, mais pour l'empreinte écologique, c'est pas ça.
So thank you, Maya, because of you, I tend to travel a lot, even though it's not very ecological.
And when is your production about to open?
It was postponed. Votre pièce sortira?
Sortira. Alors, j'ai décidé de répéter de manière étalée sur plus d'1 an, avec 5 sessions de répétition. On a déjà fait 2 premières sessions. Il y a une autre...
Oh, sorry.
Vas-y.
I'll have 5 different rehearsal sessions for a year and a half. So we actually finished the second one. So we have 3 more to come.
Okay.
Et la création française se fera le 3 octobre 2022 dans un gros théâtre en France qui s'appelle Le Quai à Angers, qui est un centre dramatique national, qui est dirigé par Thomas Joly, qui est un peu une sommité pour nous en France, qui est un jeune directeur qui a tout de suite pris en production la pièce.
So it will premiere on October 3rd, 2022, in a very important national theater directed by Thomas Joly, who is a very important theater figure for us in France.
Je dois dire que c'est rigolo sur la distribution. Comme en Serbie, ils sont aussi 5, mais nous, ce ne sont pas 3 femmes et 2 hommes, ce sont 3 hommes et 2 femmes.
Unlike in the Serbian production, we are not 3 women and 2 men, but 3 men and 2 women.
I think in Serbia she mentioned 2 and 2. I think she's doing it with 4 actors, but it doesn't really matter.
Would you perform it also in Israel?
Sounds very, very interesting, and we all envy you, I think, for the long process.
And we want you to perform it in Israel as well. So
it's a good idea,
Shimri.
Ce qui est important que vous sachiez, c'est pour celles et ceux qui avaient pu voir Job, où j'ai beaucoup travaillé sur des plateaux quasiment nus avec énormément de matière, c'est la première fois que j'ai un décor aussi important et un décor aussi cher. J'ai mis 2 ans à avoir l'argent.
Actually, I used to work with bare theater scene and with no actual money. It's the first time that I have relatively a lot of money and a lot of scenography, and it's one of the first time I worked like that.
Parce que on reconstitue en pan coupé l'appartement et l'immeuble, où on a vraiment l'immeuble de Elle, et enfin l'appartement de Elle et au-dessus l'appartement de Yann.
Okay.
So we actually reconstitute the apartment and the building. So we have 2 different apartments, her apartment and Jan's apartment, separately.
Et chose importante dans la production française, c'est une actrice israélienne qui joue Elle. C'était fondamental pour moi que les spectateurs, les spectatrices français, puissent, grâce à l'accent de l'actrice, comprendre immédiatement ce qu'elle subit au quotidien, cette différence-là, ce racisme-là.
So actually, it's important to mention that for the French production, it will be an Israeli actress who plays her, Elle. Sorry, and it's really important for the French public to understand her being an immigrant through her accent and through her pronunciation.
Sure.
Et dans un premier temps, dans les premiers combats,
Il se demande quel est le nom de l'actrice.
C'est Hadar Gabay.
Hadar Gabay, ok.
En fait, pour que vous sachiez, le premier choix, c'était une actrice qui s'appelle Maya Koren, que j'avais quand j'ai travaillé avec l'école Nissan Native, et Maya est rentrée permanente au Théâtre Caméré.
So the first, actually, it's Hadar Gabay, but his first choice was Maya Koren, who became an official member of the Caméré Theatre.
Et j'ai un autre acteur français qui est rentré permanent à la Comédie Française, ce qui a fait que tout le monde m'a dit « T'as bon goût sur les acteurs et les actrices, Laurent », mais je me les fais tous piquer.
And for like in the same way, he's one of the French actors. He became a permanent member of the Comédie Française. So he's practically a genius in picking the right actors.
The right actors, yeah. Okay, thank you so much. We are so looking forward to seeing this interesting production. And thank you. You did great with the Hanoch Levin pieces before. And we are really, I think you're very fortunate to have such wonderful directors. Thank you Eva from Belgrade as well. And thanks a lot. And we are really looking forward to seeing you here in Tel Aviv next time. Maya, we are running out of time.
Okay.
So just brief us about some other plays. I know that Amsterdam was, the breakthrough, the big breakthrough, but after it, you had some other very successful pieces. So just a short reminder.
Yes, a bomb that opened already in the Corona in Germany in Schauspiel Cologne. October last year I opened with The Exiteers, Blaue Stille in German, also in Germany. And now I have a new play that just came out of the oven or of the printer called Triage, sorry.
And you two always write first in Hebrew and then translate, because you pronounce the foreign names so brilliantly that it seems like an original title.
I can say the Hebrew titles also, but I don't think it's going to be very...
But you write them
except for Suspended, Tluim, that I wrote in English because I allowed myself to do that because both characters are immigrants themselves. And my, what we called in the Netherlands, where I lived, we called it Nederlish, this, international language, international English. So the characters I thought the characters speak pretty much like I do, so I can write it in English and it's going to be even useful, but the rest I write only in Hebrew, and I also insist that my plays are translated directly from Hebrew, and not from
other languages.
Another language, yes.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, thanks a million.
Thank
I
you
understand
very
that you are
much.
going to have a very busy year ahead of you with many...
I really hope so. It's very much up to
COVID.
COVID, but we hope so, yes.
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you very, very much. And now we move on. I feel like the Eurovision host. We now move on to Finland, and we are very lucky to have with us Taru Makela. Are you here? Yes, I can see you, Taru.
Yes, I am.
Hello. Thank you for your patience, first of all. And you've just directed another Israeli wonderful playwright, Anat Gov. You've just directed her Oh God, a wonderful comedy. Can you just tell us a bit what it's about and what attracted you to this wonderful piece?
It's a comedy about a middle-aged woman who is a psychotherapist, and she gets God as a patient, and God has all kinds of anxieties, and in the end we find out that God doesn't want to live anymore, and it's a dialogue between two persons, a dialogue between this woman and God, and maybe it is a monologue the woman has inside of herself, and it's about the basic questions of human life. The question, am I all alone in this world? Is there anybody who listens to me? Those basic human questions, and I like making comedies because it's great fun, but I insist that if I make a comedy, the theme of the comedy has to be very, very serious, because there's no use to make any plays about other themes than like death and sex. There's nothing, they are the most important things. No. And for me, comedies that are only entertaining are very boring. And so this is the Oh God is a play about God and a woman.
Yeah.
And then there is the third character in the play is the woman's son, who is an autistic grown-up man. And basically that's the
plot.
theme and the story.
And the whole play takes place in her clinic, and when God is walking in, coming to seek therapy. And Finland, actually, you're not alone with picking up this play. It enjoyed productions in Argentina, Italy, Poland, Germany, Brazil, Panama, Mexico, Greece, Estonia, Uruguay, Portugal, and now Finland. A great international hit, Oh God. Let's see just a glimpse of your wonderful production. Let's see it.
Oi Lior, kulta, nyt on vähän huono hetki, Lior. Miksi sä toit tän DVD-soittimen tänne? Voi kulta pieni. No korjataan tämä. Lior, mä esittelen sut. Tässä on Lior ja tämä on Jumala. No niin, kulta. Korjataan tämä, ei hätää. Osaatko sä tehdä tälle jotain? Kohta korjattu.
Joo, tää menee varmaan tähän. Koska...
Ei, kun toi on se, mikä menee televisioon. Etkö sä nyt vaan vois jotenkin korjata sen?
Mutta mihin sitä keltainen menee ja punainen?
No
punainen
niin, joo, anna tänne se nyt. Joo. Noniin.
Ei, kyllä se menee.
Ei,
Mene.
Sä olet pahempi kuin minä.
Liian monta piuhaa, liian vähän reikiä.
No niin, korjattu. Sinä, joka johdatit Israelin kansan Egyptistä. Muutit Punaisen meren kuivaksi maaksi 10 käskyn ja 10 vitsauksen välissä, niin sinä et osaa korjata yhtä DVD-soitinta.
Mutta tätä mä olen yrittänyt sulle koko ajan selittää.
Wonderful. Taro, you told me that you are actually a frequent flyer to Isra Drama. You've been here before, and you directed a couple of years ago another Israeli play by Savion Liebrecht, The Banality of Love. What is
Yes, and
yes, please.
actually the funny thing that I was counting that a couple of years ago was actually 10 years ago, but funny how fast life goes.
Yeah.
And we made a production then, and we were also, that production was The Banality of Love, and it was a co-production with 3 different theaters in Finland, and we also were invited to St. Petersburg, Russia, to a festival there. And actually also now this production of Anat Gov's Oh God is now going to tour in Sweden next year. First tour in February and the other tour in April.
Great.
Because there are so many Finnish-speaking people living in Sweden, so they have each year one Finnish-speaking play touring through Sweden. And
right.
Usually it is a Finnish or Swedish play, but now they chose this one, which is an Israeli play. But as you understand, the Oh God is so international in its theme that
if you have ever read the Bible, you can use Oh God. What did people think about the relationship with God and the psychiatrist according to all the biblical stories that were mentioned? Because Anat Gov uses very freely the Bible and its contents.
It was very funny because the production was very successful. It's still going to be streamed in Finland, and it was co-production with 2 different theaters. It premiered in a theater that had like 300 seats, and then it moved to a theater in Tampere which had like 800 seats. So it goes in every format, And it is very funny because all the audiences sort of thought of it as they took it as if it were for themselves. For example, all the religious people who normally don't go so much to see any theater because it's so sinful. They were crazy about Oh God, and they wanted to discuss about it, and they arranged all kinds of panel discussions with the bishops and priests and stuff. And then again, all the atheistic people loved it and took it as an atheistic play, and people who are in psychotherapy took them as a psychotherapeutic play. So it's really brilliantly written because everybody relates to it.
Yeah. Sure, lovely. Thank you so much.
Thank you very
and
much.
thank you for keep coming to Isra Drama. And we really look forward for our next cooperation with you.
And you
with
also
Finland.
hosted The Borders by Nimrod Danishman, the first international production coming to Finland after the Corona, I think. It was and Marcus will talk about Borders soon.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Tara.
Yeah. If you just invite me, I'll come.
Yeah,
sure,
we will.
Of course.
We will. Sure.
Thank you, Taru.
Thanks a million. Thank you so much.
Bye.
And now welcome, Hadar Galron, a warm welcome.
Hi.
Last but not
Shabbat
least,
shalom.
how are you?
Okay, alive, which is, quite an achievement
Quite
these
an
days.
achievement, that's right. And you just got back from Prague where you had a world premiere of a new play.
Yes, from the Czech Republic. It was in Liberec, because actually that is the location of where the story originally happened.
Okay.
And this world premiere happened because of meeting so many Czech people whilst I was working there on other productions. And after the premiere of The Secrets, that I also directed there, a young woman, not fair, kind of dark, good-looking woman came up to me, and she started speaking to me in Hebrew, speaking to me about the play in Hebrew, how much she enjoyed it. And I went, whoa, wait, before you enjoyed the play, where do you know Hebrew from? I mean, even the Jewish people in the Czech Republic, they hardly speak Hebrew. So she says, yes, well, I've been studying Hebrew. I want to be a translator. And I was also in Haifa. And I said, and you're Jewish. I assumed she was because she kind of looked Jewish. And she said, no. And I said, well, the was much more convincing than the no. So I feel there's a story here. And I took her for a beer. And then she told me that her grandmother found out she was Jewish only when she was sent to Theresian with her mother. Her mother was Jewish, but didn't lead a Jewish life, and her father was German. And then I began, it's like when you suddenly buy like a bright green car, and you think that nobody has these green cars until you have a green car, and then everybody, you see them everywhere. Yeah. So all of a sudden, I began speaking to Czech Jews, and I found out that even the people that I knew, did not know they were Jewish until really quite late, and I began hearing amazing stories. And Petr Svoitka, the director, and Izzy Janko, I call him Izzy, his name is Jiří, but it's too difficult for me to pronounce. They said, yeah, we want to do this with you. And for a year, every time I had to travel abroad, the USA or London or places where I performed, I stopped by in Prague to interview more Czech
and it
Jews.
ended up with Jewish Enough for Hitler.
Jewish Enough for Hitler.
That's the name of the play?
That's the name of the play in English. They said it's untranslatable to Czech. So in the end, the Czech title at the moment is My First Jewish Christmas.
My First Jewish Christmas.
Yes.
Let's see a short clip of it from the Czech production.
Fajn, takže uznáváte, že tahle hvězda a ta kniha jsou důkazy, že babička je židovka.
A i kdyby. Co? Spousta mých velmi dobrých přátel jsou židi.
Jo. Tak jestli je tvoje matka židovka, tak v tom případě jsi žid i ty.
Teda vlastně všichni jste židi. Jonáši. Vítej v 21. století, tohle Není příběh z Bible, ani pohádka na dobrou noc. Bůh tě sem neposlal, aby si nás vyvedl ze cestí, nebo aby si nám vysvětlil, proč máme přestat jíst večer.
Já nejsem židovka, já přece nemůžu být židovka. Já přece nejsem židovka.
Ne, tady nikdo není žid. Vidíš tady nějakýho žida?
Co by měl vidět? Jako lidi s rohy, ocasy a šupinami?
Všichni jsme normální, čistokrevní Češi.
A co to je? Co to znamená čistokrevnej Čech?
Že nejsme židi. Že nejsme Němci, nejsme Rusové, nejsme pomalu ani Slovani, nejsme komunisti.
On se ptal, co jsme, ne co nejsme. Jsme směska toho všeho. No jo, jenomže když mámu pohřbíme na židovském hřbitově, tak se z nás automaticky ze všech staví.
Taky prostě nepohřbíme na židovském hřbitově. Proč ta hysterie?
Já si myslím, že babička není ten typ člověka, za kterého můžete rozhodovat v takovéhle věci.
No, když je člověk mrtvý, tak to má svoje výhody.
Ona není mrtvá.
Ale bude, až ji budeme pohřbívat. To je zvykem.
Haha, moc vtipný. Ale co teď? Když je ještě naživu?
Dokud je maminka naživu, tak chci, aby byla zdravá a co možná nejšťastnější.
Takže co? Budeš jí lhát? Budeš jí lhát. Tak na tomhle já se podílet nebudu.
Já taky ne.
Proč si to všechno musela vytahovat? Proč jsi nemohla vrátit k té čínštině? A jak jsem tohle mohla vědět? No, tak teď už to víš. Prosím tě, jestli tě na mě záleží, vrať mi tu knížku. Tereso, prosím. Babička tohle schovávala od doby, co jí bylo 77 let. A já nedovolím, abys to všechno zničila jenom kvůli tomu, že tvůj šéf nebo milenec, nebo mě je úplně jedno, jak mu chceš říkat, je shodou okolností xenofobní prase. Ani slovo proti Láďovi, ty mu nesaháš ani po chodníky. Když se z tebe stal takový sobecký, hnusný zpratek. Hele, nech si toho terkování, ty jsi úplně stejná jako oni. Jako kdo? Ty chceš babičku připravit o její čas, o její peníze, o její srdce, ty jí vysáváš krev, to je přesně jako oni. Jako kdo? Židi! No co si myslíš, že je nesnášeli jen tak pro nic za nic? Ty pořád jenom brali a brali. Chtěli všechno pro sebe, jako ty. Prosím tě, Terezo, dost. Dost!
Není mikro.
Adar.
Yes, so this was a postponed for a year,
Yes.
precisely because of COVID.
Like all the productions, I would like to ask you, you're actually a very successful Czech playwright. It all started when, Israeli Czech, it all started with Mikve, your most famous play. It was produced about 11 years ago in the National Theatre of Prague.
No, it was produced for 11 years. It was 11 years on the National
on the National Theatre. And afterwards, all the theatres in Czech Republic wanted to do Mikve, and then you wrote The Secrets, and Mlada Boleslav produced it, and afterwards there was Whistle. So just tell us about your affair with the Czech theatre, and until they actually commissioned a Czech play from you.
Well, I also fell in love with them. It was kind of mutual, right? I get on well with Czech people, and I feel very much at home there. I would say it's a second home. And actually, the national production in Prague opened up more productions of mikveh all around Eastern Europe, and also. So it kind of opened doors for me as well. It went
also
both
in Hungary,
ways.
in the Vixenhaus, it's still running.
It's still running.
I think one can point out two central preoccupations of you as a playwright: Jewishness and womanhood. Am I right?
Yes, definitely, and I think that when I was doing research for Jewish Enough for Hitler, I was really privileged because at the same time I was rehearsing for a play for Whistle, which is about second generation to Holocaust, which I wrote with Yakov Buchan, whose mother was Mengele's secretary, and I was actually privileged to meet second generation and third generation European women, and I got a lot from themselves for the character that I need to. That I needed to act.
It's a monodrama. It can be performed everywhere.
It's a one-woman show.
Yes, it's a one-woman monodrama, and it's been already translated into 8 languages. It's been I don't know, about
Russian.
four countries, and there's going to be a Russian production soon, and so.
Yeah, it was exposed here in last year's
Right.
Isra drama. What's next? What are you going to write next?
Well, actually, I'm commissioned for a play in Philadelphia, and I'm working on something for the National Theatre in Zagreb. But I'm still not speaking about it, because until there's a contract, you never know what's going to happen.
That's
So many
right.
things were
That's
supposed to
right.
happen last year that did not happen. So, you know, I'm juggling like we all are. I'm juggling. What ball is going to fall down? I don't know, but you know.
But at least there is a market for Israeli writers, and you are one of the most successful ones. Thank you very, very much,
Thank you,
Hadar.
Roy.
Great
Thank you,
pleasure
Shirley.
having you with us.
Thank you, and you can try to, you can write to me, and I'll send you all of Hadar's plays in all the languages. So.
And we are going now to our last guest from abroad, dear Markus Trabusch from Germany. Are
Hello,
you still with
Markus.
us? Thank you for being so patient. Are you still
Hello
here?
to everyone.
Hello, Markus.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
How are you doing?
Fine, actually, but we are fighting with the fourth wave now, and got bad news today, and probably it's going to be a hard winter for the theater as well.
Really?
no.
What, you're going for another lockdown or what?
We are allowed to play for 25% of the audience only from Wednesday on, and I think this is till next year.
Wow. Yeah,
So
this is a
if
kind
you
of
have
a death sentence to
Very
theater.
sad.
Yeah. Sorry, because we all were very happy for you reading the rave reviews that Borders got just last week, I think. You opened with Borders, or 2 weeks ago.
Yes.
Borders by Nimrod Danishman, and it did very well. Please tell us a bit.
It's a smashing success, really, in the German press and TV and newspapers, and so it's we don't know what happened, but it's in my eyes really a wonderful production.
What do you mean what happened? You took the right choice on an Israeli play, a brilliant one. And there's no-
Obviously.
yeah.
Maybe tell us a bit, maybe one line about the play. It's an impossible love affair that happens in video chat between an Israeli guy and a guy from Lebanon who meet in Grindr, and the two of them try to meet, and they cannot meet because of the political situation. So the dream of going to Berlin and meet there. And what's interesting about it is that it was actually made of video chats on 2 years ago, before the COVID. So now, if there is a lockdown, you can also produce it at home, online, and it was the right forum for it. So tell us about how it was accepted in Würzburg.
Well, we decided to play it live. We didn't use
Yes, of
any
course.
video or something like that. We just produced it as real live theater. And it was the second play to open an interimistic venue, because we still wait for our new building to get ready, and it takes perhaps some months. But there's a small cellar. It's actually fringe place, but we got shelter there, and then we had not planned the right productions, because the whole season planning was for this big venue of 330 seats with a huge stage, and now we had to plan new things just on very short notice. And for this very, very small venue with 125 spectators. And so, the director suggested Borders, because she has seen it at Isra Drama in 2019, just the last one before the pandemic.
Yeah.
And we decided to go for it as a live version, and actually the audience comes. It's packed, and especially the younger audience. Which is extremely necessary, because this venue is a bit outside of the inner city, and this is normally a problem here in the city for all venues which are not really in the center.
Yeah, with
but
transportation.
it really runs well.
Very nice to hear. And you also had a previous experience with Israeli drama. A couple of years ago, you directed 5 kilos of sugar by Gur Koren. No? Am I wrong?
Actually not. I produced it. I'm
you
the
produced
general
it.
artistic director, and we produced Gur Koren's 5 kilo sugar in, I think, 2019. Yes, it was 2019 when it opened just before the pandemic, and it was stopped by the pandemic. By the way, we have planned a lot of more performances, but we couldn't play them. And some of the permanent actors left us, so I cannot produce it right now again, which is really a pity, because it also has been a wonderful production. Myself, I directed 9 years ago. I directed Gilad Evron's Ulysses on Bottles, and
that's what confused me. Okay.
In Spitting Distance. So I have a bit a tradition of Israeli drama on German stage.
Yes.
So let me introduce you to Hadar Galron. Maybe she'll be the next one. Let's see, Marcus, a short clip of your wonderful production of Borders running right now.
Yes, please.
You can Google it and buy a ticket
and go
online.
To see it. Yeah.
If you let's see it.
Bist du da? Guckst du die Nachrichten? Es gibt Meldungen von Vorfällen an der Grenze. Sie wissen nicht, was da los ist.
Ich war da.
Wo?
Wird dir nicht gefallen.
Wo ist da?
Ich bin heute zum Zaun gegangen.
Bist du wahnsinnig?
Ja.
Was hast du da gemacht?
Nichts, ich wollte nur rüberschauen. Ich wollte näher bei dir sein.
Hast du überhaupt eine Vorstellung davon, wie gefährlich das gerade ist? Hast du irgendeine Ahnung, wie unberechenbar so eine Situation ist? Du hättest getötet werden können.
Ich konnte nicht mehr atmen. Ich konnte nicht im Haus bleiben. Ich bin fast durchgedreht. Ich habe versucht, am Computer zu arbeiten, aber alles schien so sinnlos. Ich habe angefangen zu putzen und habe Kopfweh bekommen. Ich musste raus und meine Füße haben mich dorthin getragen. Ich stehe vor diesem Zaun. So ein Blödsinn! Plötzlich kapiere ich, dass ich nicht einfach weitergehen kann.
Wohin willst du denn gehen?
20 Kilometer sind nichts.
Wenn du zum Haus meiner Mutter gekommen wärst, hätte sie die Polizei gerufen.
Du wärst nicht für mich eingestanden.
Ich bin jetzt in Jerusalem.
Well done, very well done, and
very beautiful,
and very well. What a great casting. Thank you.
Actually,
yes, please.
You can see we don't have a Lebanese actor, we don't have a Jewish actor.
It's okay.
So it's not a question of identity, it's just making theater with all we can.
Yes,
and
sure.
It's nothing else than 2 characters on stage, 2 brilliant actors, and almost nothing.
Yeah.
This is...
who needs more? When it's right,
that's what
who needs
theater is
more?
all about.
Yes,
people on stage and nothing.
Great.
Okay. Marcus, thank you very much for being with us.
Yeah, and for your long-lasting friendship. And I wish to thank all of you for being with us. I know that we were a bit, we extended a bit the time. I also wish to ask you to join us within an hour for our closing event. We are very much looking forward to hearing your thoughts, comments about the whole program. We are doing our best to improve from one year to the other. So please, if you'll join us within an hour, we'll be here, and it will be a Zoom, not a webinar, so we can see one another, and we'll have a free discussion about the whole program.
Anyone of you who is curious and wishes to read the plays, you can write to me, and I'll send it to you.
Sure. And the rights and everything, Shimrita and the Institute deal with it. Thank you very, very much, and looking forward to seeing you within an hour. Thanks.